Hey guys, welcome to the podcast for the Service Without Excuses, a brand new edition. I have a very special guest on today. I'm very excited about this, but first I want to thank our sponsor, Sotellus.com. That's Sotellus.com/Rob Lyon, ROBLYON. They are the Cadillac review management software. I love them. I use them in my own service business. So I personally have my own skin in the game. And I think they're a great asset to your company. And it's really a big asset to our service company. So I want to thank them so much for sponsoring it. I got a great guest on today. Heather, what's up? All
Woo! Let's
right.
do
Heather
this.
Havenwood. Heather is a legend in this industry, especially when it comes to
Yeah.
entrepreneurship and really guiding and mentoring people. She's been at it, longer than probably either of us want to even talk about. But she has true skills that are past and current. And Heather, please tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you for that. And yes, I'm still only 22.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've actually been an entrepreneur pretty much my whole life. I had a 4-year stint in my 20s for corporate America. That was always really, it's a fascinating story. But really, who I am as an entrepreneur, I'm completely unemployable. I'm a business person. It's how I see my life, and through everything is through entrepreneurship and how to make money, how to profit, how to package, how to position, and how to profit. Right, those are my three big things and pillars in life. But in the world of the tactics, made my very first dollar online in 2001. I made my very first million online 2005 and 6. I made my first bankruptcy from my first business in 2007, 8. So there you go. It's like kind of like when you're in football, you gotta like break your knee or something for a little bit to feel like you're a real football player.
Right.
So that was my first complete. Just we can talk about the story, but really bankruptcy, lost my house, lost everything, lived in my car with me and my dog, like an old country song. And then I've been kind of writing back up ever since, but different, right? So right now, what I'm really focused on, back in 2015, 16, I actually created a supplement company from 0 to 1.5 million in sales. That was more of a retail with a service of a chiropractic. So it was online plus service-based business. So chiropractic plus a mid plus weight loss company. And then now really what I'm now focusing on has been kind of this huge shift into how do I help more entrepreneurs in the world of their software, which I never thought I'd be white labeling a software and actually really helping my clients. How do you get the message? How do you do positioning? How do you package? How do you profit? All great, but then how do you actually run your business on a really amazing software that you can actually control your business versus the business controlling you? So that's what I'm focused on now.
That is absolutely true. And you know what? That program is a form of a CRM. I guess is just one small part of it, but
Yeah,
CRM
one
I
small part.
think is like the distributor on a car, or even some could call it the engine. But engine is irrelevant. A distributor doesn't send a signal out to the motor and gets to turn on and start. So without having these things in place,
Yeah.
without something really effective to help run your business, I think it would definitely be an issue. And I would like to talk definitely more about how that program works and how that could benefit service company providers. I think that would really help us a lot here. Your story is very inspiring because you've gone through a lot. I think a lot of people can relate to that. I know I certainly can
Yeah.
myself. And you've really put skin in the game behind learning what works, whether it's advice you've done on podcasting in the past. That's obviously mostly how I know about you, and
Yes.
relationship to Joe Sugarman. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, service business entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs in general don't realize the benefit to this. I tell you a quick story and we'll get right back to it. I was just went to my friend's office. They were looking at acquiring another company, and I had some background on looking at acquisitions when it comes to service companies and their value, and what
Oh,
they're
yeah.
really asking for something is it's somewhere in the same range. At the end of the day, it was a terrible story because the woman had lost her husband,
Mm,
and she was selling the business to supplement her retirement. And the family
mm,
came in and gave an an amazing story. Seemed like really nice people, but they were expecting a lot for a lot less. And I had to explain to them. I says, okay, so this person wants to sell their assets for 300K. Fine. What could you do with $300,000 on your own in your own business versus investing in somebody else's business? Because there are a lot of variables when it comes to buying somebody else's business. but is it really worth it, even if it is a $300,000? And if
Yeah.
it was worth 300K, what could you do if that was on your side of the ship, was on your boat sailing down the water? Um, CRM programs, very similar. One of the things they did not have, so they were pulling it from an Excel spreadsheet, which unfortunately, when I look at things like that as an
Yeah.
investor, a potential investor, I look at it going, okay, so anybody can doctor those things like crazy. And I'm not saying they might have been completely honest, and they seem to be, but I'm going to look at a CRM program where I can get in the back channel of it, the back door of it, and find
Yeah.
out, what really happened with this company. Give me a little bit of a forensic blueprint of how the company's actually doing. And if I don't have that program and that access to that program
Mhm.
that people really can't doctor very well, it's kind of tough for me to put a validation on this is what you're doing, gross sales, this is your relationship status. So tell our listeners more about
Yeah.
how a program like this would benefit them.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I've been doing coaching consulting now going on for almost 15, 20 years. Speaking around the country. I've been on 500 different podcasts. I have my own show. I have 5 books out. Like I've been really involved in the information marketing business for literally 20 plus years. And what is that business? So, and I'm going to answer your question, but what is the information marketing business? Well, it's really personal brand. It's personal brand with message. So there's 3 pieces: positioning, profiting, and packaging are key. How are you going to position yourself? What's your actually message? How are you going to package yourself? And then where are you going to make your profit? How is that actually going to go? So I know this is a service-based business, but it's the same, right? I think of, I'm from Austin, Texas. I don't live there right now, but I am from there. And I can literally name off 2 main companies. I can name off the, what did they did AC. They did AC. Their commercials were everywhere. And it was a husband-wife team, and they were on all the commercials, and they were hilarious. It's called Radiant Plumbing. I just remembered it. It was Radiant Plumbing. And I could hear their voice right now. Like, and then I needed a plumbing issue, and I actually called. They were the first one. I listened to their ad probably for 5 years, And so it's stuff like that. I remember it was a husband-wife team. I remember they were super funny. They had really great ads. And then I remember a guy that I met at the Rotary and found his ad everywhere. He did a lawn service business and then moved from lawn service to expand it out to we call like home business, like going and just fixing like a handyman business,
Sure, sure.
which makes sense. He already has a relationship with the lawn. So my point is, I could see their faces, right? I can see their brands, and both of those 2 companies were huge in Austin, right? And so that's a personal brand strategy, right? So even in service-based business, owning your personal brand and putting your face out there consistently. And it's easier, I think, to become a big god in a small area versus try to like cover Texas and be big in Dallas and Houston and Austin. Like they made millions just in one city, but they were willing to double down on their personal brand. Now, that's what I've been teaching for years and years and years, and through courses and seminars and one-on-one and all those things. But what always kept my clients like stuck was, well, you say I need a landing page, and now I need like an application funnel, and oh my God, there's this thing called a funnel. And then where do I put my email list? And oh my gosh, I have a calendar and then reviews. And so I always came down to like having to understand what the latest and greatest was software. And at one point with myself and even my clients, I had like 5 monthly bills every month. One was 97, one was 197, one was,
Right.
it adds up,
Yes, yes.
and then there's no place for me to log into my dashboard. When you're in corporate, I remember in corporate, I logged in every day to our the business, like one place, right? And like I think this been missing inside of service-based businesses for small business owners. That's been missing. So this company, the backbone of it is called Go High Level, right? That's the backbone. That's the company out of Dallas. And they made a big decision, which I love this. They said, we don't want to be the personal brand. We want to become really good at this software and listen to our people. What do you need? What do you need? Small business owner, plumber, real estate agent, chiropractor, agency. What do you need? And they are so quick. They're a dev company. And I think that's really important when you're partnering with anything in your business. Like, are they serving me? Like, are they serving me as a plumber or a chiropractor or an information marketer? Or are they serving everyone and I'm having to try to fit in to the thing? So I think it's really important. So my software is called TurboClick, and I'm doing a white label, and it's a big deal, and I'm really taking it on. And I'm going to Dallas next week to actually meet with the owners and shake hands and kiss babies and, see if they're real and all that good stuff.
Right.
But I think it's really important. So yeah, I'm really taking that on for 2023 and becoming the face of a brand of a software company to help local small businesses and agencies run their business so that they log in, they have multiple users, they can have a sales team, they can have an admin, they can have an assistant in there. And at one time, imagine the power of that as a CEO. You go in and you're like, oh, I have a dashboard that's running I can see where the stats of the business, new customers, revenue last week, last month, last day, 24 hours, that's where the power comes in as a CEO. You can start navigating the ship, right? It's like you can navigate the ship when you have all your numbers in front of you. And I think that's really important. So
I think it is. It's impossible to run a business without that. I don't care if you're a one truck wonder, it's one person and you
yeah.
think you remember it all, you don't. And I could tell you the benefit of this. And actually, I just made a little video of this the other day. And I was making a joke about it. And it was about CRM programs, making them too complex, too over redundant,
Oh my God.
too much. And we as service business owners, now I don't come from the space you're at. I come from the service business owner space. So this is
Yeah.
semi new to me with funnels and different CRM programs that you can automate. But when you showed me just some of the simple things, I'm like, man, I'm using this thing right now. And ironically, they messaged me after this thing and said, "Hey, what's your thought on this?" I was like, my thought's not good. My thought's not good because it's overcomplicated. I can't fully understand. I shouldn't have to understand it. There's been no orientation. Sending a guy a bunch of videos that doesn't come from that field is like a fish out of water. It's not going to make
Right.
any sense. So why would I be able to use it? That's why I haven't really spent much time. I've spent a fortune with them developing these funnels, and I'm only going to move them over to your platform anyway. So because you spent the time to actually show me how I can use that system in my business, which makes it most effective. And I think a lot of
So
service
true.
business owners need to learn that. I bought very fancy CRM program in the past in the
We
service
all have.
industry.
We all have thousands of
And,
dollars.
and actually, when it was simple, stupid, it was awesome. When they upgraded it to something that I couldn't do, and all the really clever things that it could do, it didn't do anymore. I
Yeah.
spent all this time and money to move it to another location, and then I had to take it all back to my original simple CRM program because I'm like, wait, why am I paying you all this money if my program does all the stuff I needed to do versus that?
But
And
the other piece of this that I think it needs to be said, the reason why I'm taking this on, other than really want to serve my clients, is innovation, speed to market. I think one of the things that good entrepreneurs know is that they'll have an idea, and the faster they're able to innovate and add that idea or that service out there in the marketplace, aka put it on their site, email it to their list to test it, the better.
right.
That's where I got stuck, and I saw a lot of my clients get stuck. Like, oh my God, this idea. I'm like, oh my God, that's it. And I want them to be able to go in there, create the master class that they're going to do, have this idea, email to all the lists or partial as a test, right? And say, oh my God, it worked. Let's do more. Let's expand more. That works, right? That's the key of entrepreneurship. Even if you're in a plumbing business, a chiropractic, you have to be able to get to market fast.
Right.
Innovation is really key right now, and you can't be slow like molasses. And the other thing is that big companies, that is where basically small entrepreneurs could beat them, is in speed to market. So this company right now, they have already put out an email last week that in Q1, they're going to be integrating Chat GPT AI.
Oh,
Now
wow.
you might be listening going, oh my God, I don't know what the hell that is. The fact that they're already integrating in Q1 of 2023, it just came out, then that's with a company that's on the cutting edge, even if you haven't even caught up yet, right? Other companies, not a peep. Not a peep. So I think that's one of the things as an entrepreneur, no matter what you're choosing, a consultant or who you're working with, like, are they listening to what's happening then there's a difference between listening what's happening and what I call going down a rabbit hole and having like what I call shining syndrome, right? I'm listening for like I've gone down the road of Chat GPT, but I'm an entrepreneur. So in my head, I'm always like, okay, how can I leverage this? How can I leverage it? How can I use this? How can I ask this to my client? How, I'm constantly looking at that. So I think that's a really important part as an entrepreneur, especially right now in 2023. You have to be willing to innovate. Not invent. No, don't invent. Don't invent. Innovate. Innovate. And I just listened to this really long interview the other day, Rob, from Jeff Bezos, and I have no idea when it was. Doesn't matter. But I just love what he was talking about. He's like, I didn't invent anything. My very first thing I sold was books. People were already building them. I just used the internet was already there and books were already there. And then I connected the dots. And it's only in the last, I think, couple of years, I don't know how old Amazon is, but it's definitely over a decade and a half, maybe, they're just now starting their own like Amazon products. Like they don't build anything.
Right.
They put things on top of other things. For years, they use UPS and USPS, right? They didn't build anything out. They're now doing it because they want to go faster. They are not inventing. They innovate. Uber, people were already driving their cars and they had a phone.
Right.
So it's like, be innovative, don't invent. Okay. I think that's really important, especially with entrepreneurs. And when you have things like the right software, you can invent fast to test it and see if the marketplace responds.
Another thing Amazon, not to cut you up, but another thing Amazon's really good for, and they put on the map, was incredible customer service. I'm going to tell you a dumb story. I bought a bass on Amazon, believe it or not, a bass on Amazon.
What's a bass? I'm sorry. Is that a drum?
A bass guitar.
Okay.
Okay. It's like, so you have
it could be all kinds of things. Okay.
You have a couple things. So a bass guitar, I bought it on Amazon. I'm thinking, how in the hell are they sending this thing from Amazon? So I get it, and it's all messed up. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do here? They sent me this thing. It's messed up. They're probably going to deduct this and whatever. I message them back. They come back. They pick up the bass in the box. They deliver me a brand new one. I'm like, who does this? They mastered the level of customer service and they raise the bar, and people develop and learn to trust them. That they stuck to their word. They stuck to what they were going to do. And that's the same thing in any product you're selling, like a CRM program or like any automation program. Is if you can get people there on the line that can actually do that, that's the real benefit, is having the connection to say, hey, Heather, I'm a moron here. I don't know what I'm doing. Please, I'll throw on my hat and say I'm stupid and, show me where I got to be. That's important to a service company, or again, any company, is having that relationship ability. And that's what I loved about Jeff Bezos. And I think, what you're offering and what you're doing here is a big.
And I reached out to you. I was like, here's what my added value is, right? Here's where I'm adding value. Here's the systems I'm setting up. I'm really adding a lot of support. I'm throwing in funnels. If you want to have 5 funnels for plumbing businesses, I'll drop them in your account. You need one for a home care business, I got it. Real estate investing, got it. Real estate agent, got it. I can throw 10 of those each in your account tomorrow. So whatever you need to serve, because at the end of the day, any software, any computer system is only as good as the user. I mean, I've been paying monthly, for ClickFunnels, I think going on 4 years. Right. You know what I mean? And right now, I don't know why I'm paying for it at this point, because everything's moved over. So I need to cancel that. So I think one of the things that we all sometimes look at is how many software pieces that we are sitting there, because we think that if we need it, we might need it. We're not sure, but we've never really figured it out. So I think that's for everything, but it's really about innovation, right? And just going back to the 3 Ps that I learned from, by the way, Joe Sugarman. Joe Sugarman is, peace be with him. He just passed away about 7 months ago. Dear friend of mine, business partner, friend, forward of my book. We did a seminar together in 2015 in Vegas. Dear friend, has now passed away, rest in peace. But I learned from him, right? He's one of the best copywriters, direct response copywriters, I believe, that ever walked this planet, minus Gary Halbert, maybe. But honestly, what he taught me, he gave me books and I read and I asked him questions. He's like, if you get these 3 pieces right of a business, the positioning, right? The positioning, the packaging, then there's profit. in the story, he owned Blue Blocker sunglasses, which they
Mhm.
sold recently. And it was a brand. If you look at the brand, even right now, and this brand was built in the 80s, late 80s, he was the first to do an infomercial, right, with sunglasses on. I don't know if you remember this, people listening may don't. You can look it online. He had a camera out on Venice Beach, and this big black guy, there you go, yeah, black guy, and he was like, hey man, he had a big like boom box, like, hey man, you want to try these Boombox sunglasses? And they would go, wow,
Mhm.
that's awesome. And until his recent passing, him and his basically family ran that business since 19, I think 85 or 6. And they had amazing customer service, and they were out of Vegas. That's
Mhm.
where they had their home office. They actually picked up the phone. Hello, it was crazy, and I think that's why the business, believe it or not, is still valid today with sunglasses,
Mhm.
because the brand was there, the packaging there, the pricing, and the profit was there, and it literally sustained time. I mean, how do you do that in the e-com company? It's
Right.
fascinating. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's where I learned a lot of my direct response copy, but then also how to view things specifically. And my genius, I think we all have geniuses, right? We all have our thing. My genius, and it's only years later that I figured this out, Rob. I'm sure, like yourself or our listeners, the thing that in us that we're genius about is usually the thing that when we're little we thought we were stupid about. I don't know. That was mine. So
Right.
I see everything through a world of like packaging.
Right.
Does this make sense? So people would say to me, "Oh, this business is not working," and I would go, "Well, tell me how you're packaging it, or what are you saying about it? What's the positioning statement?" And they would say, and I'm like, "Well, that's why, because you're not in someone else's world. Like we didn't know we needed an iPad
Yeah.
years ago. Like I wasn't thinking one day, I really need this like screen thing that I could like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Steve Jobs created something and then showed us, see how this would make your life easier. And they're like, whoa, you know what I mean? I remember when the cell phone came out and people would say, why would I want a screen? Where's the like buttons to call someone,
Right.
because we don't know what we don't know until someone shows us what's in it for us,
That's true.
right? What's in it for us to have really great chiropractor? What's really in it for me to do this thing? Not all the mechanical stuff, right? How can you tell me to take away, you're going to take away my pain or my problem or my situation to make me happy? Or in one situation, I'll tell you this real quick story. Years ago in Austin, I actually consulted a guy. He was a construction guy. And what he did, his business was kitchens. He did kitchens. He's good at it. But he was a sweet guy, but he looked like he was about to take you out. You know what I mean? Like he had this like prisoner. He was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
bald, and he just had this like rough, face. He like hit a big Jeep. You know what I mean? Like sweetest guy ever. But I was like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Are you sweet? I can't tell. Like, he's just walking near. He was huge. He's muscly. He has big muscles. I said, look, I'm gonna tell you how to sell kitchens. You need to know who you sell to are women.
Mhm.
Okay. You're selling to the woman. And if she feels safe around you, she feels that you're listening to her and what she wants, she will tell her husband to write you a check. Do
Yep.
you understand? He was like, really? I'm like, yeah, you don't talk to the husband because the kitchen is the female domain. All
Right.
right. This is her domain. So I told him to wear a uniform every time, same uniform, right? Told him to wear it same, told him exactly what pants to wear, what shoes to wear, clean his nails, simple things, right?
Yeah.
Don't wear a hat and smile, like basic stuff. And when you come in, you address the wife. There's a wife, right? You talk to her, ask her what she needs, literally attend to her. And he did it. He was like tripled his sales
Mhm.
because he served the real client,
Mhm.
right? right? At the end of the day, right? And that's not always the case. But generally speaking, he was going to very large homes where the wife was like, I don't know, like, I want him to do the kitchen. He's like, it's 30 grand, honey. I want the kitchen, now, like, it's just, at the end of the day, like, who are you going to serve?
And by the
And
way, if
since
you're in the service business at all, what she just said is worth 10 times what you think it's worth. All right. You are serving the female client
you are
in the
not
house.
women, it's proven that the purse is controlled 80-90% by the female.
This is true.
Period. It might look like the man's paying, but the man might be paying because she's like, write them a check, honey. I want that. And he's like, okay, you know what I mean? So, and it's true. I even had another service-based business in Austin, and true story, this is my packaging genius. I'll tell you the story real quick, just because I think it's important.
Sure.
I was in a relationship with a chiropractor at the time. And one day on a Saturday, we're at his office, no one was there. And he pulls out this like this thing, it's like laser thing. And I'm like, he like literally pulls out the closet. It's like dusty. I'm like, what is this thing? He's like, oh, I just got it. It's like 10 grand. I'm like, okay, what does it do for 10 grand?
Yeah.
He's like, well, you're supposed to like lose weight in 30 minutes. I'm like, what? Let's do it. Right. So I'm like laying down. He measured me. He measured me, wrote down, and then I laid on this like laser, my bra and underwear, and then I got up and he measured me and I lost like 3 inches. And I'm like, okay, how are you not selling this? Hello. And he's like, no one wants it. I try to tell my clients and no one wants it. I'm like, okay.
That's bullshit. A chance meeting right there.
I'm like, women want this. Okay. So we got no. So I let him just kind of, he's like, fine, you take it. Well, of course he was like, see what happens. You're never going to be able to sell it. I'm like, oh, well, here we go. So there's a challenge on the table. He threw down the gauntlet. I'm like, let's do this. So I renamed it. And I named the laser. He wanted to call it laser light. I'm like, that's a guy's name, like a pointer. Right. Like girls don't want a laser on their body. So I called it Skinny Bean. Right. So I was like, Skinny Bean. And I made the whole website very female focused. There's a female on there. We have a picture of a female that we took, before and afters of, and it was all real. And the video was kind of what I call it, not perfect. It was like grainy. I took it with my phone and put it on before, it was the first video. We showed the proof. And then I dropped the price. So other companies like Zerona were charging like $2,000, but they were in like dermatology building. So it was a different clientele. Right. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to call it Skinny Beam and we're going to drop the price for 3 sessions for under 200. And he was like, what? I'm like, just bear with me. So we sent via Groupon. So what I did was a direct response move. I called that a loss leader. See, he thought that was the thing. No, that's not the thing. That's the loss leader. You give away the thing they want, and then you sell them what they need.
Right.
You give them what they want for low cost, and you sell them what they need. So we did a Groupon, $197. Now Groupon takes 50% of that, but we got a free lead.
Right.
And then the ad was doing so well, and Groupon, of course, is making money. So Groupon keeps pushing it. This is in Austin. And Groupon's like, hey, man, this thing is rocking. We're like making money and you're making money. We're like, they keep pushing it. So we were on a waiting list for the entire year at 4 months. So people would call us, okay, I just bought my Groupon. I gotta get a call. I gotta get an appointment. I'm like, yeah, it's in 4 months. They're like, what? But they waited.
Right.
Because everyone else was selling the thing for $2,000. So we got these clients in, and then guess what? They all wanted to do what? Lose weight. Mm-hmm. Right? 90% of them were female. The men that came in, they were told by their wife to go in, right? Honey, you have an appointment 10 a.m. for this Skinny Beam. He's like, okay. And he shows up, I'm like, supposed to like lose weight or something, this thing, right? I'm supposed to be there with my wife. And the next thing you know, we did a back end. This is direct response marketing 101. We gave away for the lead for the thing they really wanted. And then we sold them a high-end supplement with consulting weight loss program for $3,000. We went from 0 to 1.5 million in sales, and we never spent a dollar on any leads. That's the power of packaging. And I knew the men would come because the women tell the men to come, right? And then we had a whole testosterone protocol, things like that for men. And we had a large amount of men clients because the wives told them, or the boyfriend, the girlfriends, things like that. So I think when you're starting to look at packaging, when you look at, oh my God, I paid $10,000 for that, and other people need to see the value. It's like, they won't unless you really start to package something and position it so that they see the value for themselves. Make sense?
You just said the keyword positioning. It's one of the things I work with service businesses on. Actually, the only thing I work with service business on is branding positioning. And I let them know positionings in every form of their business. It's not one piece. It's not other piece. It's, well, isn't positioning like branding? No, it's in marketing. It's in operations. It's in sales. It's in every form of your business, and every
And
business is slightly
everyone.
different. But what you did is you took, and I used the story that, nobody cares. You can go to a power plant and see all these fancy features, all these different things. And that's pretty much what that machine was. Let's call it the power plant, the nuclear power
Yeah.
plant.
Yeah.
But it produces electricity, and the better and more efficient and cost effective the electricity is produced and more consistent it is, the better people like it. And that's exactly what you did. Took the power plant and turned the electricity into the most usable asset
Yes.
there. And I'm just going to say it. That's genius. You took one thing and you made it by this, and that's what makes you you. And that's why you're associated with this, growth program, the CRM program, this
Yeah.
operational program that can really help people go, because that's what you're getting, guys. You're getting, the tool, but the tool's no good without all the resources and the know-how
That's
and the
right.
simplicity. It doesn't have to be easy, guys. It has to be simple. And that's a big difference. Easy is one thing. You don't get anywhere really with anything easy, but if it's simple and you can understand,
Simple.
you have the support to do it, you're going to be able to do it. So, um,
Simple.
I'd really ask you to give any more examples you can give to entrepreneurs, because you've given so much great content here on this podcast, so many great stories. When you said Joe Sugarman, the greatest storyteller, I was just doing a little recording about Tom Brady's retirement this morning. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, you know what? You talk about storytelling. I used to sit there and listen to his recordings, and it put me to sleep, and not in a bad way. It was like he was such a soothing storyteller, and he would talk about,
Yes.
people relate to stories because as they were kids, they would get stories read to them, and then later on in life they do it. Now, I come from the age where I listened to radio. I had AM radio growing up. Tells you my age. Some FM, but AM radio was still dominant. And I grew up listening to people. That's why the majority of my podcast I only do for audio purposes. I don't do it because it goes on YouTube. I do it so people listen to it while they move and while they work and whatever they want to do, whatever they get value from. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's ultimately people buy into something they find value with. They buy into something they believe in, buy into something that's simple, that makes their life easier. They buy into the benefit that it's, designed to be for them.
Mm-hmm. Storytelling. I'll tell you a quick story about Joe. So I used to travel a lot with him and see him speak. And he had the same speech. He had the same speech for years. It was about his Batman credit card. You remember that? It was about his Batman credit card. He'd tell the story of his Batman credit card. And his whole story was, his whole presentation was always about, here are my top 10 failures. And he would tell 10 stories about his failures. And it was always around the Batman credit card. And I remember one time I was at this event with him in the back of the room, and we had dinner that night. And I said, you tell the same stories. He's like, I tell the same stories. And there was a gentleman that walked up to the back of the room. He's like, I have heard you speak 3 times. You tell the same stories and I still love them. That's really important. It actually happens the same way with me in as 450 interviews and plus, or 500 at this point interviewing. I tell many of the same stories. I tell my story from bankruptcy as sexy boss. I tell my story of the skinny beam story and how I packaged it. I tell my story of how I was literally broke and living at someone's couch and sitting there on the beach asking God, literally in 2008 on Marco Island, going, who am I? Right. And I share that story of like, something must be wrong with me. In 2008, I got fired from like 3 waitressing positions. Right. Why? Because I see everything as an entrepreneur.
Right.
So I would tell the restaurant manager as like, the hostess or something I was for 3 weeks. You need to change these things, because if you do, you can become more efficient and you can actually turn your tables faster and make more money. He's like, you're the hostess. I'm like, yeah. But if you just
Yep.
he
You ever
literally fired me over that, right? He's like, you do realize you're a waitress. I'm like, yeah, but you know,
people
shift
fear
this,
what they don't understand.
right? And then I walked in one day and he just goes, I'm like, I'm fired. He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll just clock out. And the guy I was living with at the time, I literally had left and come back. I was literally home and within 30 minutes. He didn't move from the couch. I'll never forget it. I literally just left. He doesn't move from the couch. He's on the TV. Can't see him. I know he's there. I see the TV on, and he's like, so you get fired? I go, yep. He's like, proud of you. Lasted 2 weeks. And some people just aren't meant to serve in that way, right? I am unemployable, like literally.
Mm-hmm.
And just another story of that, because I learned from Joe Sugarman that people learn from failures. If you want to call it a failure, I don't really call it a failure, but I moved to Austin after that in 2010 to start over. And of course I said, well, I'll go get a job corporate for a couple months to, get my feet back in. And I worked at this big company as an internet marketing consultant, which I find funny at the time, because I actually ended up getting my master's degree in internet marketing from Full Sail University. And I worked there for 3 months and I was doing well, my sales, whatever. But this company was just archaic in how they were doing things, like archaic. Like, you don't ask your salespeople to force them to be in the office at 5 p.m. on a Friday. You just don't, right? And I, of course, was vocal about that. So anyway, long story. And I share this with you because you need to know that as some people are born to be an entrepreneur, they're like, I see the world that way. So anyway, I walked in. It's a Friday, of course. And I walk in and my bosses, and like the general manager and the area director or whatever, they just had this look on their face. I'm like, what? And they're like, look, we like you. We do. We think you're cool. But you suck as an employee.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, are you firing me? And they're like, please just go be an entrepreneur, Heather. Seriously, you can't. Like, they literally were like, you need to go be an entrepreneur. And what's so fascinating about that story is 2 years later, the area director, who was like over all of, Texas and Arkansas and all that, he called me and said, I need your consult. So he fired me. And then 2 years later, he's like, I want to hire you to you consult me on how to start this business. And I think it's important to know that when a door closes, it might feel like a failure, but really, I think it's the universe saying that's not it.
It's not.
Right. And I think it's important because our society, at least where I grew up, is like, well, if a door closes, just keep pressing on it. No, like, maybe it needs to close,
right?
Because there's something else. Just because a door closes doesn't mean you have to power through it like a bulldozer. I just don't think that works anymore. Right? It's like, where's the vision? Where are you really going? And maybe that door is closing because there's a whole new hallway over here. You don't even have to go through a door, like the whole hallway is open. So as an entrepreneur, it's important to be listening for what is the innovation? Who am I impacting? What's my vision? And how am I going to package this in a way so that people know that it's what's in it for them? Right? And then we have profit. It's a people's business. People do business with people, not things.
Very true. Very, very true.
So true.
And you just talked about, life is a book. In some, it's sort of a book of life in the Jewish community, but life is a book, and it has different chapters in it. Some chapters are a little longer, some chapters are a little bit shorter, and chapters change for a reason. When a change in your life is meant to happen, it happens. And that is your life. Your life is nothing more than a book, and it's what you do in that book that matters. It's the chapters you write. It's the length of it, the stories that are in it that changed you or changed people around you and helped you. It's incredibly true. Incredibly true. Heather, I know you've been tremendously gracious with your time here. I want to ask you if you can let our listeners know a little bit more about you and how to get in touch with you, and possibly talk about this new program that I think is transforming. By the way, guys, I'm in the process of finalizing my funnels on another site, and I'm moving that shit over to this site as soon as it's
He's
done.
vetting it for you. Yeah. I mean, that's really important. I mean, he's vetting it for you. And I want you to take your time vetting it, right? Because
Right.
I think it's important. And that's with anything in life, like, especially if you're going to be the leader of something. So yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I just want to make sure
No,
people know
no,
you,
no.
you're vetting it.
Definitely,
Right.
definitely. And once that's all done, I'm bringing it over because after
Cool.
seeing this program, just for a few minutes, as Heather was gracious enough to show me, it just made more sense to me. Like walking through it piece by piece, it made sense to me. I didn't need it. I always follow the keep it simple, stupid. I don't need to talk in 10 different variations of the same word. I need to speak in the exact word it is because that's how people relate to it. I was a commission sales rep for a long time, and if I didn't
Yeah.
sell, I didn't eat. So I do understand that communication is the key to something, and having a program that's doing that and can work within you, and you can have framed out to your style of business, to the type of
Yeah.
business you are, to frame it to be specific to you. By the way, CRM companies, most of them, it's a one size fits all. You have to fit within their system. How about it's the other way around?
Exactly.
How about the system comes to fit
Exactly.
you? And that's what I really liked about this program. I didn't have to go, okay, I see all these fancy service-based CRM programs, and listen, they're nice. I don't need that many bells and whistles. Nobody needs that many bells and whistles. They just need it to work. They need it to apply it. They need to implement it quickly. They need to train staff on how to use it quickly. A
And the
myriad of
price is
things.
right. Like I'm so we as the white label, we get to choose our price.
Right.
Okay. I mean, there are people that are charging all kinds of prices. I like simple. Okay.
Right.
One price. It's 97 a month. There you go. So you have unlimited
Love
funnels, unlimited websites, unlimited domains.
it. Yeah.
Um, you have up to 10,000 email, and then we have a per charge. It's very small. We do a flat fee of like $10 a month up to like 100,000. Like it's really minimal,
That's
right? It's just mute almost at this point. We just have to cover our cost of SMTP server. Then you have unlimited forms. You have unlimited, if you're in courses and memberships, you have unlimited courses and memberships. It's insane, right? And I just want to do one price. Some people are like low, medium, high. I'm like, you're just a business here. Just, here's everything, and there's also going to be Chat GPT coming soon. We're going to find out how
That's a game
that works
changer,
out.
guys.
Yeah, it's a
That's a
game
game changer.
changer. Yeah. And if people are like, what's that? I'll just give you a quick, who's listening, like, what is that?
Absolutely.
Chat GPT, feel free to go check it out more on YouTube, but I'll give you like how I'm using it, right? Like what's in it for you is I'm using it to make things faster for my team, or I'm training them on how to create content easier. Like you can literally put in there, like, give me a 1-minute video script on for short form video on a chiropractic business, and it will literally like script it out for you in like 2 seconds, right? Or give me a Facebook post script for, we're doing a special on plumbing, $100 off. Like you talk to like an assistant and it will just like create the whole ad for you, like stuff like that. So it's just speed, it's efficiency. You know what I mean? So why not? Like, it's like, why not? Should we not add that for business owners? Right. So that's how we're using this ridiculous tool that's huge, but like, how can we add it for business owners to get more efficient and profitable and stuff like that? So that's how we're using it. Real quick, I wanted to share this quick story, if you don't mind, Rob.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really important, and it drives me, if you will, right? So just to kind of take you back, this is 2008, and just to give you a scene, I have my truck, a truck SUV. I didn't have car insurance. I just prayed over it every single time I got in the car. Didn't have a bank account. I had a prepaid phone, just to give you like a sense. 2 years before that, I made $1 million. Like,
Yep.
it's a
I can
big,
relate.
it's a big drop, like that was not a small drop. That was like big drop. And I'm living on my friend's couch. And the one thing he had was he was near the beach, and I made a promise to myself to go see the sunset every day. Right? It's like if I could do that one thing and kind of be with God a little bit. And I remember I'm on this beautiful beach watching this beautiful sunset, and I was like asking God, "Who am I? Like, what am I a failure? Am I like who am I?" Like I was really having that question. And call it God, call it voice, call it angel. I had this like kind of over me, like who you are is an entrepreneur. Now, how I see that is kind of like an athlete, right? Michael Jordan, some of the best, right? Tom Brady.
Right.
Who he is an athlete. Like it's his being, right? Michael Jordan went on from basketball to play golf, because who he is an athlete that plays the game of being an athlete,
Yeah.
right? That's like, it's how he breathes. So, or he or she, and like, I kind of got that. Like, it's my being. It's not something I do, right? I don't have to be on the court, or Michael Jordan doesn't have to be on the court, or Tom Brady doesn't have to be on the field to be an athlete.
True.
He might feel that right now because I know he's struggling
Retired.
with retiring. But like at the end of the day, like who he is an athlete. And when that's how they view themselves, even if they're not off the court, even if they're retired, that's still who they are. Who I am is an entrepreneur. It's how I breathe. It's how I see the world. And I say that. And once I got that, like really what I got, like I got that day when God just kind of gave me this, like, that's who you are. So then I asked, then the next question was easy. Well, if I am an entrepreneur, and I'm sitting in 2008 in the middle of the ocean, basically, like without anything. If I'm an entrepreneur, if that's who I am, where would an entrepreneur go? What would be the next step as an entrepreneur? Right. And that it came to me, well, you go be around other entrepreneurs. And at the time I was living in this island where the average age was 80. I'm about a bunch of retired people, right? So that's when I was like, I got to go. I'm from Texas and Austin was home, but Austin at the time in 2008 and still is, was thriving in entrepreneurship, and it still is. So I was like, well, I need to get to Austin. My only goal was, it wasn't Austin. It was go be around other entrepreneurs.
Correct.
That was it. Right. And so then I found a group and I'm like, hi, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have business right now, but like, it's who I am. And guess what happened? Opportunity and business partners. And then, like things unfolded because I was being and surrounding other around that. So as someone who's doing this CRM, I'm not a tech person.
Right.
I'm looking at this as an entrepreneur and how can I help other entrepreneurs? You know what I mean?
Something you just said before, people are buying it. People don't buy from objects, they buy from people. And this is no different. This is the best example of that. People are buying the support, they're buying the level of service, the concierge type atmosphere that comes along with a program. And that's where I really feel it's going to be a true, I know it's going to be, I'm not even feeling it, a true game changer, because when you can design something around your world versus having to go out in the world and try to figure it out. I mean, just think about it. If you get, I'm going to use an easy example. Going to a restaurant could be an event. It could be nice. If it's a really nice restaurant, that's awesome. It's classy. It's really, waiter is awesome. The staff is awesome. That's amazing. But there's something very comfortable about having somebody deliver something to your door. And after, of course, the pandemic, that really changed things. Delivery became a household item. Companies, launched ghost kitchens and different delivery services. This is no different. It's now coming to you. The comfort of having something delivered to your own home without you having to go outside, dress up, get in the car. It's going to be 3 degrees here in a couple of days. You have it to you. I mean, my office is in my home. My office for my service business is not in my home for a reason.
It's 80 degrees here. So
yeah. I was just there.
Sorry.
It was cold. I was just in Clearwater and St. Pete briefly for a Sweet 16, and I had to get out. And I'm like, we left on Sunday. It was 85 degrees on Friday, and Saturday we were freezing our ass off. So I was like, what is going on?
We're back to 80. It was just a stint. We had these little stints. So I don't mean to
we
interrupt your
caught
story.
it, of course. But... it was warmer in New Jersey of all days. So Heather, thank you so much. Please let
You're welcome.
our guests know exactly how to find out about you. They can talk to you more about this software, how
Yeah.
it's going to be, and more importantly, how it can benefit them, this type of program, and of course, what you can provide along with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, my name is Heather Havenwood, and I'm Heather Havenwood and heatherhavenwood.com, as well as Instagram. Facebook is really where I kind of live and breathe and hang out. Of course, I am on LinkedIn, but if you
Sure.
message me on LinkedIn, the chances are slim. So please just reach out to me via Facebook. It's really the best way to get a hold of me and have a conversation, and love to get on a call with anyone who's listening, because when you're an entrepreneur, it's always great to have not only tools and systems, but people, right? People around you that understand you and can help you figure out from where you're at to where you want to go. And if the tool is not right for you, I will tell you. You're like, this ain't right for you. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't want entrepreneurs that's like, this isn't a fit. There's what's the point of that? My whole point is to create a community of entrepreneurs that are serving and helping each other grow. That's the intention. So
And I'm going
hope
to
that
tell you from
helps.
personal experience, and I never do this on a podcast. I had a conversation with Heather last week where we had a little mix up when it came to, when the podcast recording was happening or whatever happened. And she spent an hour with me. If you're listening to this, you're listening. If you're watching, she spent an hour with me explaining a bunch of stuff I didn't know about my LinkedIn profile and things that had to be, updated. She also talked about things like this that could benefit the business. And she sent me some stuff. And by the way, I've tried not to say thank you. So I have watched that course, watch how often you
Okay.
say thank you. And my God, if I said thank you a lot, like you should have to say thank you every single time people have to do their job. I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I mean, there's some truth
Mm,
to that. We say it a lot, even when it's thank you for somebody doing their job, which, we appreciate, but it really did break things down for me. So she gave me
you're
all
welcome.
this extra content, all this extra information, doesn't know me from Adam before that, and
Yeah.
offered it freely to me and kept on going and offering little tidbits of information after that. This is a wonderful person to work
Thank
with.
you.
I can tell you I've dealt with a lot of people over the years, and she's special. So I will definitely highly recommend her. Look into her. You can find a bunch of videos online, different interviews. Other than this, a bunch of great content, and talk to her about the CRM program and other things possibly she can help you with in the future. So, Heather, a true thank you very much. I appreciate it. Appreciate you being
You're
on our
welcome.
podcast. I think it's been one of our better ones. And
Thanks.
again, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Rob.
All right. Welcome. Have a nice day.
You too.